Right guys, in this video we're going to go through Python lesson 3 selection, and this is specifically going to talk through if, else and elif statements that we use sometimes in Python programming when we want to make certain decisions or we want certain outputs only being presented depending on what's happening in the program. So let's just go ahead and start reading from slide number 3. So it goes on, let's see, what does it say? What exactly does this program do? So it's asking you what this program does. So let's just quickly go through it. But it's a password checker. So this is a comment, guys, remember, because it's got a hashtag next to it, the password checker. So print welcome to PGO security systems, and then print a bunch of stars underneath. This is just like formatting decoration to do like an underline in stars. That's what that will do in Python when it's run. Password, this is a variable being set up. Password equals the input to the prompt, enter your password. So some text will appear on the screen saying enter your password, and it will then wait until the user enters something. So that's why we got the input function there. Then it goes on and does this. If the password that's just been entered up here is equal to ABCD123, then print access granted. So print to the screen access granted. Else or otherwise print access denied. So if ABCD123 is not entered as the password, then print that. After this is done, just print a message on the screen saying press enter to exit the program. Okay, fine. So this is an example of selection or an if statement, and you can see the setup it's quite simple actually. You have an if line, and then you have a print line after it usually, which is sent in by a tab space or 10 spaces or indented, you can just say indented. And then after that you have an else line, and the else normally has nothing after it apart from a colon, and then you have the next print statement, which just has a different message being presented onto the screen. So if I actually go ahead and copy and paste this, just to show you what happens in action when we actually run this program. Remember, when you open Python, you have to make a new file, and then that's where you put all your stuff. And then you can actually save this as a file and then run it later. Okay, so let me just get rid of this shell here. So password is the input to enter your password. If password equals exactly that, then print that. Otherwise, print this line here. Okay, let me just go ahead and run that so you can see it in action. Do you want to save it? Yes, I do. Let me just save it on the desktop and just call it lesson 3. Let me just call it password. Oh no, let me call it selection. I've already saved something before called selection. It's fine. I'm going to save over it. Yes, save over it. Okay, so let's see this in action here now. Okay, so enter your password. So let me actually go ahead and enter the password as it is there. ABCD1234. Access granted. Lovely. Okay, so that was nice. That was fun. That worked, right? Let me go ahead and run the module again, and this time I'm going to type in something other than that. So let me just get a slight error in that. ABC1234. So I've missed out the D, right? Access denied. So you can see that this particular program is specifically only going to print access granted if the password entered is ABCD1234. Okay, so this is kind of like, you know, how a password program would actually work when it comes to you logging into your laptops and stuff like that. Something like this is built in the background, and that is how you are able to log in or not. Okay, so the main things you need to know then with an if and else statement are the keywords if, then lowercase, and else is in lowercase. I think the actual PowerPoint presentation goes through the actual structure quite well. So let me just go through that now as well. Yeah, let me go through it in order like it is going through in order. Okay, Python requires indentation as part of the syntax. So indentation is like a space in. So you can see here a space in from the left margin up to there, and again left margin up to there, and it's aligned, exactly aligned. Okay. Indentation signifies the start and end of a block of code. Okay. So this is a block of code over here. You can see it. Programs will not run without correct indentation. All right, let's just test that. It's saying that programs will not run without correct indentation. Let me just take that back. Let's see what this does. Let's see. Okay, so it's not even going to run the program. It's saying expected an indented block. So it knows that after an if line, you can see up here, if, it expects a line that's indented. Okay, so it's very helpful in telling you what exactly it needs to do. It has to be indented. Anyways, in Python, when you reach the end of your if line and reach the two colon points here, if you press enter, it automatically does the indentation for you. So don't worry too much about when, I have to always remember when to do it, whatever. No, as soon as you write your if line or your else line, it does it for you. So I can do it for else as well here. So say if I reach that point there and then just hit enter, then I can just carry on typing from there. Okay, so it does actually, it's actually quite helpful in Python the way it works, and in idle, the environment that we're using to write Python in, it's actually quite useful, and you don't have to worry too much about getting this wrong. You actually have to try quite hard to get it wrong. Anyway, moving on. Right, using an if statement. An if statement uses something called selection. If forces a decision. So if condition, do this, else do that. So let me just actually go through this line here. That's basically how an if statement works. So if condition is this. So if condition, our condition is password is equals to ABCD123. So the double equals means it's the same as. So password is the same as ABCD1234. So that's condition. Then is basically your colon here, sending you on to the next line. That's then. Then do this. Your do this is your print access granted in this case. Else, just the one word, else, which is here, else, very clearly, again, lowercase, followed by colon, else, and then when you hit enter, do that. And you do that, in this case, is this. Okay, so in our if statement, what we've got happening are print statements being, they're putting some text on the screen depending on what's happening. Okay, right, so that's just the basic syntax. Have a go and actually put that code into a Python program yourself and just check that it's working before we move on. And then once you're all right with it, we can have a look at a couple of other things. And this is like similar, it's the same, so you can just have a go and look at that as well. So you can copy and paste it, put it into Python, and then just have a go and see that it's working. I do need to give some attention to this. It's comparison operators. So you can see in our condition up here, we've got a double equal sign, and that means equal to or is the same as. It won't be, you can't do a single equals, that won't work. Single equals is when you're telling Python that something equals something, or you're like giving it a value, you're assigning it a value. We're not assigning password a value in this line here. We're checking whether it equals something. So that's why you do a double equal sign. A single equals will not work here. Okay. Then you've got some other options here as well. You've got your more than sign and your less than sign. I think you sometimes call them crocodiles or something in science, or crocodile clips. I'm not sure what you call them. And then you've got your exclamation mark and then equal sign, which means does not equal to. Okay, so if, for example, let me just mess about here and do that here. If I change this to does not equal to ABCD123, then say access granted, what do you think that will do? Let me actually ask you that now. Have a think of this. Think of the logic. If password does not equal ABCD1234, print access granted. Else, print access denied. What do you think that's going to do? I'm going to type in ABCD1234 as my password. I'm going to type that in. So you think about it. What will happen? Okay, let's run. Oops. Oh, just move this out of the way. Here we go. Enter password. Let me go ahead. ABCD1234. Access denied. Why access denied? It was because of my condition. That's what I told it. I said if password does not equal ABCD1234, then print access granted. So what this program is going to do, it's going to print access granted for pretty much anything I enter, as long as it's not ABCD1234. So these characters are super important. So let me just type in bananas. Access granted. There you go. Okay. So be very careful on what comparison operators you use. Later on, we're going to look at an example where we're using the more than or less than sign, and we do that when we're dealing with numbers. And then you've also got more than or greater than and equals to, and less than or equals to. Notice with these two that you have your more than or your less than first, and then the equal sign. So you wouldn't type it like this, for example, here. Let me just do it up here, even though it won't work here. Well, it wouldn't work even if I did do it the right way, but you wouldn't do it like this. You wouldn't do equals and then less than. You would do less than and then equals. But obviously this doesn't work with letters because that doesn't make sense. You only really use this with numbers. Okay, fine. Right, let me just correct that program again and then just press save on that. And let's move on to, what time is it now? Okay, I'm going to move on now to another video which will go through the actual example, which is writing a speed program. So just make sure you go through this intro to selection and that you're comfortable with it, you understand it. If you have any questions, please ask.